Today at the Rock House, we have the fantastic band from the States, Bourbon House. After achieving international success since they first formed in 2017, the Rock House is pleased to invite Lacey and Jason. How are we, guys?
Hi, we are good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming along. Look, today we're just going to go through your debut EP, the couple of releases since then. But to start off with, I'd really like to hear from you both about when you found your passion for music. How old were you both?
hmm my passion for music, that probably didn't really happen until I was much older. When I met Jason, that's kind of, I guess, where my passion came from, because I hadn't really tried to write or anything, but I did sing and play guitar and stuff since I was about like 13. Yeah, say about that.
Okay. How about yourself, Jason?
I don't. It's hard to say. I think going back as far as I can remember. I mean, I remember dancing around to music when I was 2 or 3 years old. So, and by the time I was 5 or 6, I was writing poems or what I thought were songs. With just the words. And then when I was 12, I tried to figure out how to play a keyboard, and when I was a teenager, I started to learn guitar. So I don't know. It's writing songs has always been something that I've wanted to do. I never thought I could do it for a living, or I never thought people in other countries would listen to the songs I write.
That's cool.
Yeah, we'll talk about those people in other countries soon. Jason, did when you picked up the guitar, did you look to anyone in particular to try and model your own style? Who was your inspiration from a guitar perspective?
Yeah, I was definitely Jimmy Page. I would say Jimmy Page and Joe Perry from Aerosmith.
Yeah.
I thought they were the coolest guys on earth, and I thought if I could be just a little bit like them, it would probably help my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lacey, how about yourself? Are there any vocalists that you look to?
I think when I started singing, I was very into kind of trying to replicate Patsy Cline and Etta James. Those two mainly. And then as I got older, I really started liking some really powerful male vocalists. Chris Cornell is one of them, is probably my biggest one. Then we got Paul Rogers, Terry Reid, Robert Plant, all of the big, like, sweet voices.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So fast forward to 2017. This is when Bourbon House really formed. How did the meeting of minds come together?
Well, we were doing acoustic shows together.
Yeah, we were playing a lot of acoustic shows all over the state. We were playing about 80 shows a year by 2017. Yep. And so it was starting to get a little old, after
it was all covers.
After 4 years of that. So we just started writing our own songs. Thought it would be fun to record a little EP, record 5 songs, and ended up being 7 songs.
It did, yeah.
We wrote 2 more in the studio because we had a day left.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd ever written any songs. So
is that right?
It was, yeah. I guess that's the EP really is what made me realize that I want to do this, and that especially with him, together, that we're good at doing it. So go for it,
And certainly you were good at doing it as well. The EP started off with Snakes in the River, which I really think is a song that defines the band still today, right?
Absolutely. That's like one of the first songs we ever wrote.
Yeah.
And it came very naturally, and it was very easy. And it's still so fun to play too.
Yeah, cool. Cool. Music in Your Bones was another standout track from the EP. Jason, what was the meaning behind Music in Your Bones?
I don't really remember, other than I know I wanted to come up with a pretty cool riff, and I came up with that opening riff, and Lacey liked it, and she's like, "Oh, I can sing over that." So she started singing, and she felt like it was maybe not in the right key, so we figured out the right key, and
Mhm.
everything came together pretty fast on that song, and that ended up being the one that people were
Mhm.
playing all over the place.
Definitely the standout song for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So the following year, the debut album come out, Wild Abandon. What was the process in recording the album? How did it differ from the EP?
Oh God, it was so different.
Yeah, it was.
Some crazy stuff happened with that one.
Everything was, you know, when Music in Your Bones became really popular among a lot of DJs, we thought we can do a whole album of that kind of music. So we started working on Wild Abandon immediately, and there was just a lot of roadblocks and obstacles along the way, with lineup changes. We changed studio. We recorded the whole album at one studio and threw the whole thing in the garbage. And went and re-recorded it at a different studio.
We paid for it too. and still threw it out. It was terrible.
Kidding me.
Yeah. Well, so the engineer that we were comfortable with, that we recorded the EP with, wasn't available. He was going to be gone. Actually, he was in Australia, because he was a sound guy for the National, and they had an Australian tour. So he wasn't available. So we had to find another studio, and the studio that we found, that engineer was not a good fit for us at all. He was very into editing and over editing,
pitch correcting all of the instruments.
It was too modern for us, I think. So when we got everything back plus a hefty bill from him that we didn't expect, we just cut it out and waited for Evan to come back home, and went in there and recorded in 2 days, I think.
Yeah, and we only had album. He only had a couple of days to squeeze us in, and that's why it's called Wild Abandon, because we had to record 8 songs in like 3 days. And when it came time for guitar solos and lead tracks, he basically just said, let her rip.
Yeah.
So most of that stuff is one take.
Yeah.
Wow.
We didn't have time to go over anything. We just recorded it as fast as we could and threw it out there, and it felt like Wild Abandon. So
yes. Yeah.
I think the phrase was used a few times. So
I mean, that experience would break most bands, right? How did you guys just persevere and break through?
Well, we do together. We help each other through it. I would say if I didn't have him, it would not. I would be done with this band probably several times.
Yeah,
the music industry's hard. It's hard.
We weren't touring at the time, so we really didn't have much else to do, and we still had the same drummer from the first album, and then we just had the engineer lay down the bass line. So
which
it wasn't really that complicated. It just would have been nice to have more than 3 days to record the whole album.
Yeah.
Well, put it this way, it's probably your first live album, right?
Yeah.
It kind of feels that way.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which probably makes the song Drowned in Whiskey have a bit of meaning. Is that what you were doing over the 3 days?
Right.
That was a song that was probably the first song we wrote for Wild Abandon, and we worked on it all of 2017. And then when we recorded it, we still didn't like it. So we threw out the intro, we threw out the verse part, we threw out all this stuff, and then rewrote it basically in the studio.
That intro was definitely a one take on the spot intro for Drowned in Whiskey, which I think is what gives it that like it sounds authentic,
Yeah.
Because it is. Yeah.
Definitely. Continuing on from the theme from the first EP, Burn Them Bones was another strong song from the album.
Thank you.
What's the inspiration behind that one?
That one I think was just another that riff is cool kind of song. We're very riff driven and like vibe driven. We just try to get the vibe of the song. So when I hear him doing something that I'm like, that is the coolest riff, I have to try to work with it and make something happen out of it.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
like that riff. Sure.
Another great song from the album, which probably resonates with me every morning when I try and get up, is "The Old Man Blues." It's probably the track that I put on to get these old bones working as well.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, despite those challenges, the album did work well. Particularly over here in Australia, you hit #1 in the rock charts. In the UK, you hit #2 as well.
Yes.
That must have given you some belief or self-belief after all of those challenges you had, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. There's been several moments like that for us that are like, okay, like they're reassuring moments.
Yeah.
And our fan base keeps growing and we see it. We see it happening, so there's no reason to stop. So
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Look, the riffs, you're right, they do stand out in the first EP and the album as well. And at this point, the media started making comparisons to bands like Deep Purple, Zeppelin, Bad Company, Heart, and Janis Joplin.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tall order.
Look, it's a very tall order, but those comparisons are true as well. We talk about the riffs, we talk about the vocal style as well. When you started getting, press along those lines, did that put any pressure on the band itself to go even further?
Mm-hmm. I would say so. What do you think?
Yeah, a little bit, I suppose. But those are the bands I grew up listening to. They were, a little before my time, but they were my favorite bands. So I listened to all of those bands and all of those albums just repeatedly growing up, and especially as a teenager. So that's kind of my natural style, and I don't feel a whole lot of pressure to try to play in a certain way, I guess. I think if I just play like myself, it's going to come out that way. And also, I don't feel like I need to live up to anyone's expectations very much. So if I do want to write an oddball song that's completely different from anything we've done before, even if it's not blues rock, I feel that I still have the right to do that. So we usually throw on a couple songs on each album that are just kind of weird.
That's awesome. The following year, in 2021, Into the Red come out. Now, that recording process would have to be far different from the first album.
100%, and it's also weird.
Oh no!
Yeah. Well, that album was recorded at 3 different studios.
Yeah.
And it was actually like a 3-year process because we released singles of it between Wild Band and Into the Red, which is, for the music industry now, that's definitely the way to go. We've realized it's the way to go, just so you can give, proper attention to the tracks you're trying to push. So yeah, we recorded 4 songs at 3 different about that.
Yeah, I think it worked out well in the end, looking back.
Yeah, you get a good mix.
Nice that way, because we went to 3 different recording sessions, and they were all with 3 different engineers at 3 different studios, and even with different musicians, different bass players. And so we had a lot of different input from different people, and we had different technology available to us, and that's why you got a few songs that are in one vibe and a few songs that are in kind of a different vibe. But if you put it all together, it makes for an album that's kind of
dynamic.
At least, it's not all the same.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, look, that's a good analogy, but you're right. Together, the album is just such a quality release, and for all of the fans out there, it definitely needs to be in your rock collection, because it's one of the releases from 21. Just a couple of songs in there. The video that frightens me the most is Dead in the Water. I don't want to come over to Wisconsin and meet you guys. Bushland over there. Dead in the Water. What was the inspiration behind that song?
I don't know if I had an inspiration lyrically so much, but I always kind of do. I start writing songs, and sometimes it'll start with a title, and I'm like, and then I can figure out kind of what it's about, But just about like people who want to keep you down, just stay down there. Don't get any farther, So that's what it's about. And then, yeah, just the creepy girl in the video. I don't know. I just thought it was fun, I guess. I like creepy stuff.
Yeah, I think the riffs came first, and then we had the title, and then eventually all the lyrics came later on.
Yeah. The second single, 6,000 Miles, another great video in there as well. The riff, Jason, you just come up with these riffs which blow everyone away. What's going on in 6,000 Miles?
He's the riff master. Yeah.
That's what I try to do.
Yeah.
And then
I think 6,000 Miles was those two riffs that are the two main riffs that are in there were two separate songs initially.
Okay.
And then we just like realized that they would go good together. So
yeah,
that happens a lot too.
And then another single, Too High to Care. That's obviously about flying an airplane, isn't it?
Obviously.
Of course.
Yes. That's actually about like weirdos. Yeah, it's kind of just about weirdos. You know, those people who you just see like walking down the street and they're wearing like the craziest things. But they look so happy. You know, it's about people who are just like, I don't care what anybody else thinks.
Yeah, that's perfect. And that comes out in the video for it as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. 2022 so far has been pretty busy for you guys as well. Kicked off with the single Resonate, and I listened to that. For some reason I just had strange visions of being in an old Western saloon with the start of the song.
Nice.
Is that the vibe that you tried to get with the piano starting?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, a little bit of a honky tonk vibe, I guess, kind of like a rock and roll vibe.
Yeah.
You know, Jerry Lee Lewis, maybe, you know, a little bit of a Little Richard. Yeah, we just wanted kind of a rockin' song that doesn't really relent.
Yeah, it's just kind of rocking all the time.
Yeah. And then just released Out for Blood, another dark vibe-ish type song. Smiling Silent Woman. She's out for blood. So hold your breath, hold your eyes. Again, I really come out in the bushland with you guys.
That song, actually, the lyrics started with Smiling Silent Woman, because I was just thinking of, you know, just a woman scorned, right? Those are the three, that's the phrase that came out. Yeah. Just snowballed from there.
Yeah. It definitely does have that darker edge. Were you trying to channel, you know, that different vibe during the song?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we wanted it to be a little, you know, a little dark and witchy.
Yeah, perfect. It come out really well then.
Good.
I was listening to it this morning, and the old hairs on the arms are standing up going, oh, geez, how's this interview going to go? It's me already. All right, so guys, 2 singles so far this year. What's next for Bourbon House?
We have 3 more coming.
Wow.
Yeah, one of them's out September 30th, so it's coming out very soon.
Next week.
We just shot a music video.
Yep. So the song and the video will be out roughly October 1st. Yeah.
Awesome. Be something to look forward to. So 3 more singles coming up. Will we see the 5 singles so far this year into one record at some point?
Yes. Yeah, we actually have the rest of the record already recorded as well and mastered. So we have it all ready to go.
So guys, give me a world exclusive. When can we expect to see it? The final album.
Probably, there's no definite date. January or February. Yeah. Would be a good estimate in there.
Will we see it on vinyl as well? You know, vinyl was just taken off absolutely in a big time up here in Australia and probably the rest of the world as well. Will we see it on vinyl?
Yes, eventually. I would like to also get Into the Red on vinyl as well. There was like a weird, I don't know, there was a weird shortage, and I never went back to, like, you know, figure it out how to re-get it done, because you have to get it remastered and, you know, all that stuff. But I do want to get both of those albums on vinyl for sure.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
All right, one final question before I let you guys go. I know it's dinner time over there in the States. Jason, personally to you, what's the best bit of advice that you can give to aspiring young guitarists out in the scene?
Learn your scales and your modes and listen to good music.
Definitely. And Lacey, how about for yourself as a vocalist and songwriter? What's the best advice that you can give?
I would say don't be scared. I think 90% of what we perceive as talent is actually just confidence. So having that confidence is going to make you sound better and have more fun.
Yeah, that's really good advice, and similar to something I've spoke to as well. Believe in yourself, back yourself,
100%.
and just get out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Lacey and Jason, really appreciate your time. So excited to hear the new album's coming out. A new single next week. Best of luck with it all, and hopefully we'll get to see you guys over here in Australia at some point.
Yes, please. I'd love to.
Fantastic. Well, guys,
thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. Take care and good luck.
See ya. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, team.